So, welcome to the latest episode of Sports Room. Well, not the best of days for an Indian cricket fan. India lost the fourth test at the MCG by 184 runs. India did have their moments in the match. First, when they had Australia reeling at 90 for 6, and then today, when Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rishabh Pant, the 2021 GABA Test hero, when they were at the crease, India had hopes of snatching a draw at least, if not an unlikely and historic win. But then the familiar collapse happened 7 wickets for 34 runs. Well, Ayaz, are you disappointed like us by what happened today?
Well, you have to be disappointed because this was a very fascinating test match, as indeed the series has been. Both the teams have been it's been a seesaw battle for supremacy, and we've seen even this match. I mean, Australia winning the first test, Australia losing the first test, winning the second, and coming here with the scores tied 1-1, and then Australia now edging past India into the lead in this series. And this match, I mean, there were times, there were moments when it seemed that India had got the upper hand, as you mentioned, when Australia were 90 for 6 in the second innings, and again when uh, Pant was batting with Jaiswal on the last day, it seemed that you might have an improbable win for India. But one wicket trigger of that collapse, 7 wickets falling for 34 runs is, it just makes recovery almost impossible, even to draw the match. But what I want to say here, Sharath, is that there was a certain inevitability about an adverse result coming India's way, because India have always, the batting has been fragile for India from the very beginning. We won the first test through a remarkable performance in the second innings. Remember, we were bowled out for 150 in the first test,
Exactly.
in the first innings. And thereafter, in match after match, in innings after innings, it's the batting which is dragging the team down. It's been a big letdown, especially the mainstays. When I say the batting, I mean the top six in the batting order, and Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Rishabh Pant, especially three mainstays with loads of experience of playing in Australia. They've just not been able to deliver runs, which has cost the team heavily, despite the magnificent performance of Jasprit Bumrah, who's become like a one man army against Australia.
True, true. So, what do you think, Ayaz, is wrong with our Indian batters, like especially senior pros like Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, around whom this whole batting order revolves around? And is it the mindset or the technique or a mix of both that's hurting Indians? What do you think?
You're right. I think it's a combination of things. It's about technical lacuna or technical flaws. It's about the mindset. It's about lack of confidence. Remember, both have come into the series with a sequence of poor scores against New Zealand when New Zealand whitewashed India
True.
in India. Now Virat Kohli, it appeared, yeah, at home. Now Virat Kohli, it appeared, had overcome that hurdle because he got 100 at Perth, and it was a very good 100. Maybe not one of his best, but it was an innings of great assurance and composure, and one thought that he had gotten over this hump of low scores and failures. But thereafter, it's been a monumental struggle even for him. And look at what's happened at Melbourne. I mean, the reason why he'll be remembered, there are two reasons why he'll be remembered in this match. One is, of course, the run out, which with Jaiswal, the misunderstanding with Jaiswal, which cost Jaiswal his wicket in the first innings. And before that, his barging into Sam Constas, which has created such a furor in the cricket world. So that's not something that Virat Kohli would want to be remembered for. He wants to be remembered for his batting prowess, for the way he makes runs, for the way he shoulders India's performance, batting performance in a test match or in any format of the game. He's been such a wonderful player. Rohit also. I mean, it just seems to be going from bad to worse for him. He's just not been able to barely get past double figures, if at all. I think only once he's managed that in this series. Pant has got starts in most innings and has, I mean, he loves to play spectacular strokes. He loves to, and he gets away with it because he's done so wonderfully well. He's won matches for India playing that unorthodox way, uninhibited way. But sometimes you
Yes.
feel that maybe he's, stretching it a little bit too much, which happened in the first innings here, and also in the second innings. In both innings, in a sense, he threw away his wicket. So you had these three guys, the big guns, not firing, and whatever the effort made by Jaiswal, to some extent KL Rahul, though he's also not been as consistent, and the rousing century made by Nitish Kumar Reddy going in vain. Not to forget, or not to mention, though I have mentioned it, is Jasprit Bumrah fighting or waging a lone battle against the Aussies since the start of the series.
True, like you said, Rishabh Pant, like for all his rescue acts, be it against Australia in the 2021 series or against England, South Africa, for all these brilliant innings, it seems like his aggressive game it's not paying off now. So, do you think it's time that Pant maybe he should curb his aggressive play?
So Sharad,
Yeah.
Rishabh Pant, he plays the way he plays, and that's why he wins matches. He's unorthodox. He's outrageous in his stroke play. When he gets away with it, it looks spectacular. It looks like there's no other batsman like him. Now, obviously, I thought what Rohit Sharma said after the match was quite right. He said, now Rishabh Pant has reached a certain stage and stature in international cricket. Now he has to sort out his own mind in understanding situations and what strokes to play. He says, he's won matches for us. So if I go and tell him don't do this and don't do that, it might confuse him even more. I think what might happen or what should happen, and this is my personal opinion, is that maybe number 5 is perhaps one position too high for him. He's in the top cluster of top order batsmen, top 5. While the game he has is one of counter attack, and in counter attack, there are always risks that you will take. And if that risk doesn't pay off, then it lands the team himself as well as the team in deeper trouble. So if you look at all his successes that he's had, the major successes, it's batting at 6 or 7. That allows, if there is, if you've got off to a good start, then Pant at 6 or even 7 can consolidate in a very aggressive manner a good start. And if the start isn't good, then he can come and counter attack. So I think at 5, I think India is getting a little exposed. The tail or I mean, luckily we have got all rounders like Nitish Reddy and Washington Sundar, even Jadeja. Yeah, and Jadeja, who had one decent knock in the series but not been able to do much. So I think Pant has to obviously sort out this issue, but the collective failure of all these three, and I would add even Jadeja and Rahul to this mix, because in 4 Test matches, if you've not scored more than 232 40 runs, I think Rahul has got more than 200 runs. The others haven't. So that doesn't give the bowlers enough runs to. Yeah, it doesn't give the bowlers enough runs to defend. And every time you can't expect Bumrah to keep, he's getting those 7 wickets, 8 wickets, 9 wickets in a match, and you still go and lose the match. It's blighting his magnificent performance.
True. I mean, talking about Bumrah, like bowling has been a concern. If you keep this phenomenon called Bumrah aside, uh, I mean, can we clone Jasprit Bumrah? Is it possible? But yeah, jokes apart, though Siraj has bowled well, I don't think he has been consistent enough with the wickets, but he has bowled well in patches. But I mean, Bumrah, how much of a burden can he take alone? I ask, what do you think?
Well, he's been like Atlas, isn't it? He's been carrying the weight and the load of the entire team on his shoulders so far in
Yeah,
the series.
perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, and also, he's done it throughout the year, whether it's in T20, it's in the series against England and against Bangladesh, wherever he has played, he's been absolutely magnificent. He's got what, 71 or 72 wickets this year, this calendar year, at less than just about 14 runs per wicket, which is a staggering stat. So Bumrah has, clearly now has established himself as the best fast bowler in the business today in the game across formats. But I would go a step further and I say he's now reaching for the skies. He's, ready or should be counted amongst the all-time greatest bowlers. I mean, you have to then club him with a fast bowlers. You have to club him with a Dennis Lilly or a Wasim Akram in that category. And that shows the spectacular progress he has made since he's returned from injury. In a year and a half, Bumrah has, just kind of taken, he's put himself on a pedestal, which is mind-boggling.
True. So maybe that's what exposes the other bowlers. I mean, when you have somebody like Bumrah in your team, it's very difficult to like live up to those standards. Is that hurting Siraj especially in the absence of someone like Mohammad Shami?
Yes, I think you're right. I mean, it's hurting Siraj, the comparison, because you got a guy who's got, what, 30 wickets in the series, and somebody else who's got,
Yes.
16, and looks like he's not done enough.
Siraj is 16.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like Mitchell Stark, he doesn't have 30. He's got 15, 16 also, or 14, 15 maybe. But, nobody's saying that he's not done well enough because he's won a match for you, 6 for something. So I think Siraj To an extent, yes, consistency. But I think it's not. I think at the end of the day, in many ways, Siraj has been a good foil because he never lets his aggression kind of simmer down. He's very aggressive on the field. Where his control is concerned, yes, he needs to kind of improve on that. Because look at Bumrah. Bumrah chokes the runs. He allows batsmen no liberties, no freebies, and then he tests them with his vast repertoire of skills, which is magnificent skills. So there is no respite from Bumrah, the pressure he puts on you. While in the case of Siraj, you get the respite because in a spell, he's bowling a 5-6 over spell. He might bowl one or two loose deliveries and over, which allows the batsman to kind of get the heat of themselves. So that is something that Siraj needs to mind. But I think overall, if you look at what India has achieved so far in the bowling in the series, Siraj, between them, they've got 46 wickets, which is a fabulous. I mean, Bumrah's got 30 of them, but 16 wickets in 4 Test matches is not a mean achievement at all.
If you look at the other team, Australia on the other hand, whenever they were down, they were able to find a player who would put his hand up and perform to the expectations, be it Travis Head, Steve Smith, Marnus Lavishan. And in bowling department, if you look at Hazelwood wasn't there, but then Scott Boland did really well. And then you have the captain, Pat Cummins. I mean, he has been exceptional with the bat and the ball in this
Pat
test
Cummins
match,
has been
right?
a marvel, Sharath. And you mentioned about Australia. Yes, you're right. They fought their way
True.
out of crisis many times through the series, except in the first Perth match. But even at the MCG, they were in a crisis. Apart from the first innings, when, for instance, the crisis when Nitish Kumar Reddy was taking the bowling apart. So, that score could easily have gone up by 40, 50 runs more. But they held their nerve and then they came back. When they batted, they were 6 wickets down for 90 something, maybe 91. And then they fought from there and took the score. Pat Cummins has been an exemplary as a captain with bat, with ball, with his leadership, with his tactics. He's just been, I think, way ahead of everybody else. We've got Bumrah as the outstanding individual performer in the series so far. But Pat Cummins, the overall package of Pat Cummins hasn't been behind at all. If anything, he's been the most influential player of the series so far. And I think Australia have been very hungry to win. Remember, they've lost twice to India at home. They've lost twice to India in India. The Border-Gavaskar Trophy has been away from them for maybe a decade and more. So they are very hungry to win. And they've used, in the crisis, they put their resolve. They've shown their resolve. Labuschagne, Smith, in the first couple of matches, they were struggling away. Like it seemed that, they'd forgotten how to bat. But they fought their way out of that struggle and came good when it mattered. I think that's really the story that, or the example that Australia have set, which India couldn't emulate in their batting.
True. And there was something very interesting that Rohit Sharma said after the match. I mean, he said he found it mentally disturbing that India were unable to find ways to win. I mean, does that give a peek into the mind of Rohit Sharma as a captain?
No, I mean, which way? I mean, ultimately to win a match, when you got about 90 overs to play, 92 overs, you obviously need a, very good start. But if you're 30 for 3 or 33 for 3 within the first hour and a half, then you're already on the back foot in a big way. And then, yes, there's a recovery and there's a glimmer of hope when Pant and Jaiswal were batting. Because remember, India bat very deep. So if you suppose you had a 100, 150 run partnership through the day somewhere, or 120 run partnership, it just opens up new vistas. It opens up opportunities, and you can then build from there. I think that's what Rohit was referring to when he said, yes, if the opportunity came, if we had the platform, we could have tried to go for a win. But if you don't have a platform, the best option then is to play for a draw, which is what they tried to do, but couldn't succeed in that.
Yeah, and he was also referring to that 90 for 6, and then India couldn't hold them or bowl them out, and they had this last wicket partnership, which really hurt India. So he was referring to all those moments in the game. So, what do you think, Ayaz? I mean, Sydney, will it be a swan song for Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli? Do
I
you
don't know
think
if
so?
swan song or not, Sharath. I mean, I know there's a clamor on social media. There's such a buzz about what's wrong with them. I think the questions have to be asked. They must be raised as to why the batting has repeatedly failed, and especially these two high quality players. I'm including Pant also. So that makes it three of them. But there is now, look, the series has been kind of, it's been a seesaw series so far. So should one say that India have lost the series? They haven't. Sydney, there is an opportunity to win and retain the Border-Gavaskar Trophy, and also, in a sense, open up a little window of opportunity of still sneaking into the WTC final. Because then, if India wins at Sydney, then Australia have to ensure that they don't, they don't lose 2-0 to Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, which
Exactly.
playing in Sri Lanka can be tough. So, Australia pretty much almost, I mean, they've got a foot in the door in the WTC final, but not yet entirely in, and they can bolt the door behind them. That's not happened as yet. So India have everything to play for at Sydney. I think the key issue for me remains: will the batsmen deliver? Will they stand up and deliver at this point? In the when it comes to it, in the moment of reckoning now.
True, true. So let's hope India in the series with a bang and Sri Lanka do us a favor by beating Australia. So with that, thanks, Ayaz. Let's
Thank
catch
you.
up on the next episode of Sports Room.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sharon.
so much.
Thanks so much. Bye bye.